Rand Taylor is the CEO and co-founder of the Industrial and Sustainability Group. It's a company called FuelOx.com. It's an additive to increase fuel mileage for diesel and trucks. And Rand is here to talk about the industry itself right now and where things are. And Rand, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, thanks for having me, Scott. Good to be in Dallas.
Oh no, we're in Cincinnati. Close. Are you in Dallas? Where are you?
Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I was in Houston at the Offshore Technology Conference last week, and I still got Texas on my brain, so I apologize.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's all right. We're starting to get Texas-like weather here finally after 6 months of rain. Anyway, so we're seeing we're seeing the prices go up, and the industry already has driver shortages, and now we're seeing the increase in the amount of goods after COVID increasing like 3% from a year ago. So we have this. It's really a confluence of events: extremely high oil prices, worker shortage, and an increase in demand. That's as bad as it's going to get, or is it going to get worse?
You know what? I hate to say it, but I don't see anything on the horizon that says it's going to get better. That's the problem. And I think the other thing that there's a couple other things people forget about too. Is that number one, where we started from during COVID, you had as soon as COVID hit and they locked everything down, you had, oil prices fell to the basement, and that was not a natural thing to happen. And then, so what we had is we had really cheap prices for a year or two there that we all loved, right? But unfortunately, it was not real. Right. And then as soon as the spigots opened back up, boom, everything exploded. And of course, as you mentioned, there's a confluence of other events. The biggest one being that just inflation as a whole is here, and it's not going away. 7.5% year over year last year. You're looking at a couple percentage points higher this year. They're saying, I don't see anything that's going to stop it. Now, as you said, you add on, worker shortages. Your work and the supply chain issues are real. I mean, guys break machinery, or you get something you need to replace a part in your car. They don't often have them in stock anymore. You got to wait months to get them. It's not good.
Yeah, and not only that, the fuel prices. I mean, it's insane what you guys are paying. How quickly can the industry? How can if you're an independent, an OIDA truck driver, and the big guys is like, if you're bigger, you can absorb some of those costs, but not all of them. If you're an independent, how are you managing that? Because your prices would almost have to change daily for what you're hauling, just in order to break even, let alone make any money.
You're 100% right. I mean, I'm up here in New Jersey now, and I drove down the road today, and it was $6.50 for a gallon of diesel. $4.25 gasoline, $6.50 diesel. First of all, I've never seen a two dollar difference between the two in my life. Okay, so but in the meantime, so you can see that the brunt is really being borne by the truckers. And you look at these guys, these independent guys, they don't have the ability to have a big company that can automatically work surcharges into their shipping, their freights and everything. The independent guy has to do that on his own. And he's not, and unfortunately he's just not made to be quite as nimble, when it comes to that. And so they're, like you said, they almost have to figure it out daily. And for them to do that is really hard to do. And these guys are right now, they're spending $1,000, $1,500, sometimes $2,000 to fill up their tanks.
Wow. That's insane. And then, obviously gets the market too. And we see the prices on things going through the roof, combined with inflation on top of, the shortage in the supply chain. And we've never seen anything like this in our lifetimes ever. And there's going to be no relief, as you said, Rand Taylor.
No, we haven't, and that's kind of where we come in. We at FuelOx, have a fuel additive that is it's made originally for the U.S. military, but what it does is it gets the fuel to combust more thoroughly. So you end up with about 5 to 10% better fuel efficiency, which at these numbers, even if you're just driving your car, these are real numbers,
Right.
And the flip side is also that goes along with it is because we're burning more of the fuel and getting better fuel efficiency, we're also reducing your emissions by pretty dramatically, So for these guys, the big trucks with regen systems, we cut their regens in half, and we cut down just on your normal trucks and cars, your emissions by as much as 60, 70%.
Rand Taylor's here. He's a CEO, co-founder of the Industrial Sustainability Group, and fuelox.com is the website for that. And so now as we look at the industry itself, generally there's a change agent, right? The change agent's being inflation, a gas shortage, a worker shortage, supply chain, something's got to give. Are we going to see a quicker move to autonomous trucks at this point? I know in the last couple of years, and where you were just in Texas, you're in Jersey now, Rand, but they started experimenting with that down there in driverless trucks. Is that going to be exacerbated by what we're talking about here?
Well, I think all these things that are taking place. I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but I do think that there is a definite push. I don't think I'm talking out of school when I say that there's a definite push in the Biden administration, to alternative fuels.
Sure.
Particularly electric. I was in Indianapolis at the work truck show about a month ago, and it was dominated by electric engines, for big trucks. And we're definitely pushing towards the autonomous and the electric. It's not going to happen overnight, though, and it's still, and electric still doesn't have, the power that diesel brings. Diesel brings a number of things to the table that you're not going to get out of electric. You get more power, more BTUs. It's easier to get. We have the supply chains all in place for fuel, that have been. It also is, it's just the best conveyor of power that there is out there.
Right.
And I don't see that changing dramatically real fast, although, the push is definitely there. There's no question about it.
I know in Europe they're trying this, but, I look at a passenger car. You're not hauling that much usually. Now we're starting to see, the Tesla truck's been promised and looks pretty cool, but we're starting to see pickup trucks that have that are electric. But it's a big step from, hauling a payload in the back of a 2-ton truck to 80,000 pounds or more if you're doing a tandem, right, in a big rig. So how viable is that? You may be able to haul stuff, but you're not going to be able to haul it far enough for it to be more efficient than diesel, and that's the point, right? Is you got 250-gallon tanks, you can drive a long ways before you got to refill that. Whereas with a battery, you're talking maybe more inner city kind of thing or regional at this point. So where are we with the technology? What are the physical limits of it?
Yeah, I think that's what you're looking at. You're looking at it, being for shorter haul type situations, and things that the long haul stuff is still out there in the future. But never ever underestimate the power of technological growth.
Yeah,
you and I have seen this in our lives. Just the technology just keeps getting better and better and better. And I don't think there's any question that at some point, they're going to solve that issue with electric being able to do that. On the other hand, you always have the human factor. The autonomous driving is great. But that last mile of the autonomous driving is the sticking point right now. Mm-hmm. It's going to happen. Okay. But the question is how soon, and when exactly. I don't see it happening anytime super soon. We still need guys to get out there behind the wheel and fill up with diesel and carry the stuff, because that's not going to change, overnight.
Well, we're not, but the thing is, no one wants to drive the truck. That's a tough job. That's a tough life. You're away from home a lot, especially the long haul guys. It takes a special breed, right? The asphalt cowboy type to do that. It's not like young people are attracted to that kind of thing. And so where does that talent to get us to where we need to be when it comes to autonomous trucking? Where's that talent coming from? Yeah,
that's a great question. But you're seeing that. We're seeing that problem everywhere now, though, Scott. It's not just drivers either. I've been spending, as you can probably tell, I've spent a lot of time in airplanes lately. And I'm going to tell you something. The shortage of pilots and of people to work in those planes, is a real issue. I had one of my guys from Houston had to drive home to West Virginia because his flight got canceled and they couldn't get him out for a week.
Wow.
So, it's crazy. And it's not because of you're seeing these things. They're not happening just because of weather. They're happening because they can't find the people to do things.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're saying, and that's part of it. That's also part of the supply chain issue, right? Is that you can get stuff, it's just getting it to where it needs to go. In the construction field now, it's like I just read a story about how concrete in some areas of the country is a scarcity now, and it has to do with the supply chain, but also getting guys to haul, cement truck drivers, basically concrete truck drivers. So, it's all encompassing. It's everything, and so now that slows the economy down. And when you see that, for example, labor productivity's dropped like 7.5%. I think that's because in the first quarter, I think that's because we have people who are, working in these plants, manufacturing or receiving whatever. And when you don't have the material, you get shut down. You get furloughed, basically. So you don't have enough stuff to work with. I think that's also that's certainly a problem for the economy right there. We don't have enough people to work as it is, and the too few people that are there don't have the supplies, as you mentioned. If something breaks in the supply chain, you've got to wait weeks or months to get a new part in.
Yeah, and you know what? We're starting to see the supply chain, extend itself into other areas too. That not just parts. It's like you said, it's cement. It's other commodities. Yeah. It's fertilizer now is becoming very short. Mm-hmm. Fertilizer being short for our farmers, that's not a very good thing.
No. Nope.
And you're seeing the prices going up in the grocery stores. Because of it. These are things that they're all interconnected. Right. And I hate to say it, and I hate to be. I tend to be an optimist by nature, but I'll tell you something. Boy, it's tough to be an optimist these days.
It's just a weird environment. Yeah, it's just a weird environment. You don't want to be, and we've had these great years now for a while. The boom economy has gone on, but you feel it's kind of winding down right now with all this stuff. And I don't want to be negative either. I'm still bullish on America, and we always have had periods of growth and sustainability and retraction and recession and depression, and that's just the natural cycle of it here. But it feels like we're definitely on the backside of that for sure.
Yeah, I'm with you. I believe in America. I believe that America we're a country of winners, but we got a work cut out for us right now. This is probably the biggest challenge it's definitely the biggest challenge that I've seen in my lifetime. Yeah. And I think that we'd have to go back into about almost 90, 100 years ago to go back to something that is as challenging to the economy and the country as a whole as we're seeing right now.
Right. Rand Taylor, CEO and co-founder of the Industrial and Sustainability Group, better known as FuelOx.com, an additive get more mileage and better output from your truck from diesels, and primarily in the military, but now it's obviously available for trucks too as well. So look into it, FuelOx.com.